So I think it's more to do with how much of skill sets have been built into the students at that point in time in school. When you're talking about such professional courses, the skill sets, the quantum of skill sets required is also very high. Right. That is very important. But क्या होता है कि when these kids come in from the school or from that angle, for them to change and to adapt to a scenario is also takes some time, right? So the first year possibly is for them to understand कि मेरे को क्या करना है, which are the areas I need to work on, which are the areas I need to look at, and then build on those skill sets on the campus.
सपने पूरे होने में या सक्सेस मिलने में वन ऑफ द मेजर हिंड्रेंस इज द एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट, द ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्री सिनेरियोज, द मार्केट डायनेमिक्स. अगर कोई अपने आप को इनसे अडेप्ट नहीं करता है देन दैट कैन एक्चुअली लीड टू डिलेज इन प्रोग्रेस और वंस ग्रोथ इन करियर. To understand what are the current market dynamics and scenarios and how an individual has to be prepared for that, we have with us right now Mr. Inderpal Singh, with over 35 years of industry experience and the Director of Skill Development Cell at Universal AI University. We welcome you here, sir. We're really grateful to have you here. And today I would like to talk to you about the insights of the industry कि हमारे जो students हैं जो कि आगे जाके मे बी जॉब्स के थ्रू या इवन थ्रू entrepreneurship जो कि उस मार्केट को एंटर करने वाले हैं, जो एब्जॉर्ब होने वाले हैं, what is the market expectation from these students and these youngsters?
So I think what is essentially required, Barisha, is the entire world has changed. If you look at post-COVID, काफ़ी सारे चेंजेस हुए हैं, एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ कॉल्ड एज द वूका वर्ल्ड. सो द वूका वर्ल्ड हैज़ नाउ इवॉल्व्ड इनटू व्हाट इज़ नाउ द टेक्निकल or technology oriented VUCA world. Now, keeping that in mind, I think what is more important for people now is not technology, it's not more of the knowledge, it's more of the skills and the attitude. So people need to work on attitude first, because attitude जो है that takes a person to a very long scale. But what is also more important is to have the right kind of skills. अब skills की अगर बात करते हैं तो skills will vary from what we call now as what we are also doing at Universal AI Universities, also be talking about skills which are 21st century skills. Now these 21st century skills क्या होते हैं? Since knowledge is not the core of your requirement from the industry perspective, the skills have shifted from pure knowledge to things which are more in terms of having the right kind of communication skills, also in terms of being adaptable to how the world is changing. How do you change yourself? How do you adapt yourself? How do you skill yourself, upskill yourself? Also in terms of areas like how do you collaborate with people now? So the entire thing has shifted from जो पहले होता था कि चलो मेरे पास इतना काम है, यही मैंने काम करना, तो I don't need to interact with a lot of people, I only talk to my own team members. उतना मैंने काम कर लिया तो मेरा काम हो जाता है. But the entire world has now become so interactive, or you need to reach out to people who will have the right skill sets, and उनके skill sets को आप अपना काम करवाने के लिए कैसे use कर सकते हो. So I think collaboration is one of the most important areas that we talk about. So learning skills are very important, obviously. Also media literacy skills that we talk about, and obviously we're talking about life skills. So the 3 L's that we're talking about is where I train my students here on Universal AI on these skill sets basically.
So because you are heading the skill development cell here, so आप तो एक स्टूडेंट की जर्नी एकदम बिगनिंग से देखते होंगे, वो हाई स्कूल से निकल के आता है एंड देन गेटिंग रेडी टू गो एंड एंटर इनटू दैट इंडस्ट्री, दैट जॉब रोल. फ्रॉम द पास्ट 2 years और 3 years, और आई कैन से कि जब से NEP आया है, बहुत सारे स्कूल्स भी एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज, प्रैक्टिकल लर्निंग एंड दीज लाइफ स्किल्स, ऐसे चीज़ों पे फोकस कर रहे हैं. हैव यू सीन एनी चेंज इन द स्टूडेंट्स हु आर कमिंग फ्रॉम द हाई स्कूल्स और दैट स्कूलिंग सिस्टम into their college? Do they already have an aspect of these skills, or they're still coming completely naive and everything has to be built up here?
So I think it's more to do with how much of skill sets have been built into the students at that point in time in schools. I know there are a lot of schools which are working on these skill sets, but I think there are very limited schools that work on these skill sets. Okay. If you want to look at these skill sets that are built into, and when we're talking about getting into a professional course, maybe a BBA or an MBA or whatever. Now when you're talking about such professional courses, the skill sets, the quantum of skill sets required is also very high. Right. That is very important. But क्या होता है कि when these kids come in from the school or from that angle, for them to change and to adapt to a scenario is also takes some time, right? So the first year possibly is for them to understand कि मेरे को क्या करना है, which are the areas I need to work on, which are the areas I need to look at, and then build on those skill sets on the campus. Now, when they start working on those skill sets, it takes another year, 2 years for them to kind of get to adapt those skill sets. And there are obviously skill sets that we need to work on, which are, oriented towards their ultimate objective of what kind of a role or what kind of a career do I want to make. So they need to work on those skill sets also. Right? So that's very important. But I think there is definitely a shift to a certain extent, but it's not something that would keep anybody happy. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Yes, there's still a lot of work that has to be done, even though schools are doing, but there's the mindset has to change. When a student comes out of school, the focus is more on learning by rote or learning by कि बस रट्टा मार लिया अपने पे एग्जाम कंप्लीट कर लिया. But here we talk about life skills, right? So life skills are not about कि आपको कितने मार्क मिले, right? That is important, no doubt about it. But it is also how adaptable you are, or how correct are you, or well do you fit into that role, is what companies look for.
And what are the kind of activities, or you can say platforms, that we are offering students to build these skills in them, or to give them that area that okay, go and explore कि आपको क्या करना है और फिर कैसे skill को develop करना है.
So there are multiple things that we do. Obviously, everything is based on experiential learning. All the courses also that we possibly run, like we do the MOS, we do skill development sessions. ये सारे sessions are all based on practical application rather than theory. So I can possibly tell a person कि this is what communication is all about, the 7 C's of communication. मैं explain तो कर दूंगा. But how do I actually reach out to a person? How do I communicate in the right manner? So communication is possibly, language is important, but not very important. The language might not be the core area, but it is important. How do I pass my idea across to the other person? So there are various ways of doing it. How confident you feel while talking to people. How do you build that confidence in talking to people? So we have students who come in fresh, and if I have to put them onto the stage in front of their own class, there is not so much of confidence that they are able to speak to the people in front of their own class itself. Right? So what we call, loosely called as stage fear or whatever that. But over a period of time, because this is done day in and day out, and they are trained to do it by using various methodologies, we see a shift. Possibly in the next 6 months you can see a shift, and there's the confidence that comes in when they're coming and talking to people also.
Okay.
So there is definitely a shift, but much more is required.
Okay, sir. Got it. So that was all for today.
Thank you so much.
It was actually nice talking to you, understanding. In fact, I would say understanding के gaps अभी भी कहाँ हैं, so that we can work on those areas, and even the students know कि okay, this is what they have to be prepared for. This is what
Exactly.
they're gonna get in the college when they enter into that institute, and of course in the industry. So great insights, sir. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you
sure
so
our
much.
viewers would also have gained some value out of it. It was lovely having you here.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.